creature that people are encountering. With far too many reports to ignore, there are elements of truth behind these accounts that mankind can no longer ignore.
Breaking news out of Texas, Bigfoot is real.
Could a breeding population of large, upright, hairy hominids really exist in North America? Or is there something more paranormal at work here, deep in the woods? If just one footprint, one wood knock, or one howl is real, then man's understanding of primate evolution would be changed forever. Join the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective as they delve further into the mysteries of Bigfoot and other paranormal phenomena through the eyes of witnesses, investigators, critics, and skeptics. Join us as we look to discover what lurks from behind tall trees.
Okay, we're all still here. Everyone's good?
Yes, sir. There he is, RPG.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brother.
Good. Right.
I'm behind the tall tree. Hello. I am
Hello.
behind the tall tree.
We do.
What up, boys? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, man.
Was a pleasure to have you back.
Dude,
So,
every time I watch your intro, it's every time I'm like, man, do they edit it like every single time? Is it like The Simpsons? Because I feel like I notice something new every time. It's cool. It's cool, man.
yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Actually, no. The season 2 one did have a little edit from the season 1 one. Is there something more paranormal with the aliens? That part got added. That I know for a fact.
Yeah. So that was a little different. Yeah. But we were talking about your movie there, RPG, man. That thing was pretty sick, man. Pretty sick.
Yep, Charlie and I both watched it. You pretty much did everything else in it. Dude, it has me wanting more. It has me wanting more. You know, it's a 3-parter, right?
Yeah. Part 1, part 2, and part 3. We basically, we rolled into Mayaca because Stacy and the boys had been there back in, I forget if it's 14, 15, but it's when the Mayaca River footage came out, and that was blowing people's minds of this Bigfoot, skunk ape, whatever you want to call it, running across the grass in broad daylight. And we're talking people parked, lined up along the road, like out, cameras, everything. What's his name? Falconer, who the footage is named after. He said he was coming through for about a week, I believe, and he just noticed every day there were more buzzards and more buzzards and more buzzards. It was like a Stephen King movie, like the end was coming. And then one day he finally is like, what the hell is going on? And everyone was out with cameras. And when he got out, he just happened to be the one fool that knew what he was seeing. Everyone else was like, what is that? Who is that hairy man? There's a hairy man out there, and it's tall grass. It's like, we wouldn't go out there on a dare, it's just not worth it. The snakes, everything out there, pig.
That's the footage that was like the guy and his son or something like that, and like they went in to get a closer look, and they saw the thing. It was just like jumping up and down. Yeah, okay. We had Connor Flynn on here a couple of weeks ago. That was actually one of the video. We did like a whole skunk ape thing, and
Connor, he's the best. I can't follow that. He's
a pretty man. No, but that was that. We did like a whole skunk ape thing, and that was one of the videos that we covered.
Yeah, and I don't know if he explained it, but the stuff that most people don't know about that is they just get that that video footage, which is spectacular. And then when they got out there, they found pigs, young, healthy pigs with just one leg snapped and broken, just hopping around. Because what would you do if you're a really smart hominin? That's called easy food. You don't have to run for it. You can hear it. It doesn't go too far. And there were carcasses. I mean, it was, in my opinion, this was like a young one that was just having the time of their life, living on their own for the first time, eating fast food every night. And they're just then they got caught. And that's when Stacy and the boys rolled in. They didn't, you wanted to be there, but you didn't expect it to be there. And they actually went out, did a fire line push, and they could have got it. But even as trained as we are, when that shit hits you, pushing play sometimes is the hardest thing you can do in the world. So I missed it the first time, so I went back.
I did hear about the incident with the pigs and the broken limbs. I didn't know that it was the same one. I didn't know it was the same one as the that footage.
Yeah. There's additional stuff, and but when that happens, if you're not there to document it all, you're just kind of there, freaked out.
For sure.
You don't catch.
Speak of the devil, by the way, Connor said he got your package, Chuck. So
nice. Yeah, where's
Connor?
Your shirt? Yours, RPG. Where's your shirt, bro? Connor got his.
Oh yeah, where's that shirt?
He's got to show off the guns, man.
Where is that? Hold on one sec. I know we're live.
Give me a shirt.
All right, it looks like we got Josh waiting backstage. So once RPG gets back, we'll have we'll get him in. Oh, he just conked out.
Uh-oh. Who's it?
All right.
Josh?
Yeah, Connor. Connor, if you're still watching, we were just talking about you before. We were saying how we were talking about the SKUNK APE videos that we were going over when we had you on.
Oh no! We're cleaning it. That's exactly. I was like, I gotta clean this, and I got it downstairs. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I'm sorry.
All right, we have. All right, here's Josh.
Oh wow,
Josh.
okay.
Josh, thanks for joining us, man. Nice to meet you.
Nice.
Who's swaying like a cobra over there?
Yeah, I've got it. I'm still at work for just a few more minutes, so I'm gonna be in and out of the picture here. But I'm listening and I'm good here.
Multitasking sounds good.
I'm trying to multitask.
For people that don't know, Josh is the man behind the beast in all of our stuff. So if there's a Sasquatch needed stunts, any of that man does it. He's 13% Squatch as is.
Nice. He was part of the push in the movie, right? In the
Yes.
Yes, you're one of the 4 or 5, right? Yeah.
Yep.
He was there for the original. He's the OG.
Oh, okay. Oh wow.
I do have a very important question to ask, though. I just want to get this out of the way now, so don't get too full. This pertains to you, RPG, and I want you to be honest.
No.
I want you to be honest with me, okay? What did you do with that petrified deer dick when you were off camera?
He keeps it in a bag by his nightside table.
I knew it!
Yeah, right. It's under the mattress with all the other odds and ends. Yes.
That little frog you had?
Yeah, that
there we go.
There
it is.
Dude, because imagine you're about to do a fire line push. For people who haven't seen the movie yet or don't know, we did a fire line push at an extreme end of Mayaca River State Park in a place you probably shouldn't, and it's filled with snakes and pigs and gators that migrate from orgy pond to orgy pond. It's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. So I'm going through that, and you think you're cool because you've been walking for already like 15 minutes. You're sweating. You're like, all right, I got this. And then that pig just heard me and just moved. It just jumped, and you would have thought that I was like, ready to fight off a dragon. And then I go over there, and it was just chewing on, some calcified whatever. But to me, I was like, what the hell kinky shit are these pigs getting into in these woods? And I kept walking. It was cool.
So I guess between the pigs, the petrified deer dick, the alligator orgies, I'm surprised you didn't catch anything that we don't know.
Well, nothing that's
he caught some stuff. He just doesn't share it with everyone.
Yeah. No,
that's why we're not wearing pants.
Right.
I feel much more comfortable on this nice white leather.
I bet you do.
No, man, that was crazy. And we all got turned around in the woods. So, I was new to Florida at that point, but I've been in a lot of woods, and I got a pretty good sense of direction. But all the boys, all these local boys, were just trying to converge on this one point, just to push the prey or the skunk ape towards this area. And we all get like warped around like horribly. Like, listen, I'm all for getting lost in the woods and coming out in a different. But if I start here in the woods, and here's like the shoreline, and then I basically come out back here, I wasn't that high, you know what I mean? Like there's no that blew my mind, and I was trying to express that in the film to these guys, and these guys are like, you get turned around there and whatnot, but I'm like, okay, that's the second time in my life that I remember ever getting turned around, and the first time where it was so bad that I'm embarrassed. Like I'm either embarrassed or something happened. That's it. That's it.
Right.
So
And the rest.
The problem with it really is that most of us, minus RPG being his first time, most of us had been down those paths hundreds of times. Like I've been in Mayaca State Forest in that exact area, probably 2 or 3 dozen times in the last 5 or 6 years. It is rare for any of us to get turned around as much as we did. Like we were way off course. At one point, I mean, we thought we were definitely going the right direction, and then I turn and I run into RPG, or I run into another person on there, and it's like, you guys weren't supposed to be anywhere near where I'm at. Why are we together right now? It's uncanny how just weird that night was, because of every single person on that set all started going the same way and all ended up screwed up the wrong way. Like if we're going north south, we all ended up east west. With no, and it's a straight path, guys. It's not we took a right turn or we took a left turn. We took a straight path and ended up east and west instead of north and south. That was a crazy situation there.
And it's weird too. Just watching it last night was you're all filming stuff, so none of your cameras and none of the equipment ever was affected. It was just almost like you guys were affected. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't any glitches and stuff like that. So,
and if you guys, the filmmaking process, right? So we're there to shoot the push. It's already running late. People are already tired. It's already dangerous. So like, if you were to look at a map though, and this is like behind the scenes stuff, there was an area in there that we all were repelled away from, like kind of a nice circle, triangle. How about this? In an ideal world where these things are actually funded and we can recognize these things and then just put a team on it, have someone stay out there, that's what we would have done, because there was an area we could not access and all of us got pushed away. And that's fascinating, but that's like the weird stuff that happens on these adventures. It's more high strangeness, minimalist things, no big fireworks. And you're more or less like going, did something happen? It did. I don't know.
But at what point does it come down? And, I asked this question too, when we're in the woods, just try to keep myself grounded. At what point does it come down to when it's actually like a genuine, legitimate, like unexplainable thing that happened, like getting mixed up in the woods, or just, something that happens commonly that your mind's just, and emotions are just like getting the best of you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So I would say that night, high strangeness, only because, again, we've walked this path, man. For it to do that to every single one of us. Now, I can understand RPG. Like, I can understand RPG. You look at him and you're like, all right, that dude's goofy and probably doesn't know his right from his left. But, like, some of us, we've been out there a lot in that area. Now, he was just new. It wasn't that he doesn't know his right from his left. It's nothing to do with that. But, the fact that we've been out there, like, it's never happened that way. I would say if I had gone out there to Mayaca or to anywhere, and I walk in a straight line and it takes me to the left or the right mistakenly, all right, let me go back and figure this out the next day. No, we've been out there. A lot of these guys that were on that push, Emmett, myself, Paul, we've been in those woods there. Stacy, we've been in those woods there more than not. There's no explanation or reason or rhyme that we could completely all get off track and it sidewind us from one particular area. And it's like a circle that it kept us away from. And the weird part is we walked that straight path, right? We're all going on a straight path. Some of the group went around that circle that didn't want us in it this way. Some of us went this way. And then we all ended right in the middle, right where we should have been. But how did we miss the entire middle section of that wooded area? Unexplainable for me. I have no clue how we all managed to do that without something happening. That's just unexplainable.
And no one felt sick or dizzy or anything like that. There was no scared.
Nobody had any weird feelings, weird thoughts, weird, sickness or anything like that. It was weird when we met up with each other. Like when I met up with Emmett. So I'm coming through, and then all of a sudden I'm right there with Emmett, and I'm like, "Hey, Emmett, you were like 3 people away from me. What are you doing next to me right now?" And he's like, I was kind of wondering why you're right next to me right now. And I'm like, I don't know. So, I
asked you first.
No real ill feelings by any means. Nobody was sick, none of that. Just a weird experience. And it's not like it was super weird because, I mean, there is no feelings with it, it just was everybody happened to get lost at the same exact moment, the same exact time for no rhyme and reason.
And see, what's really interesting that we've been finding in our adventures, which I'm sure, another thing, it's subtle, so you kind of touch on it, but you don't, is it's not the house, it's not the boat, the car, the doll. I don't think it's the area of land that you are in, whether you're at the Conjuring House, whether you're in the Bermuda Triangle, whether you're in Myakka River State Park. There are certain areas of that land that, call it whatever you want, call it cursed, call it haunted, call it spiritual. I'm pretty sure any different person walks in there, they're going to get a different feel and vibe. And maybe that's just another really special spot of the park. So I encourage anyone listening or that's thinking about adventuring and maybe hitting it and following in the footsteps of some people. There has been a skunk ape there, that is confirmed. They have not seen it there in a long time, but there is something special about that area. We ran into it too. They ran into it twice. So you use it if you can, man. And if anybody finds out anything, please let us know. Like, what is it about that spot?
Yeah, there's got to be something.
So one thing I wanted to ask you guys, it seemed like at least that first part of that documentary, it was like divided up into like four major segments. You guys had your Myakka expedition. You were at the I think it was the Aleister Crowley Museum. You were at that guy.
Tatum House.
You were at that guy, Mr. Rogers' house, that witness, and then you were at looked like the Wildwood Sanitarium in Salamanca. Was that the one in Salamanca or Georgia?
No, that one's actually just a flashback of when Stacy was experimenting with the hymn to Pan and how it affected him. We were using that as a mechanism to build the reputation of this particular spell, chant, hymn, whatever you want to call it. It's called hymn to Pan.
Oh, okay. So that was
yeah.
Okay, so
it made him cry. Well, I don't want to ruin anything for anyone, but he did decide to do it again after what it did to him the first time. That's kind of
right. Some of us aren't the brightest, all right. I mean, we didn't sit here before this and be like, "Hey, by the way, we're all rocket scientists, bro." No, we ain't the brightest bunch by any means.
I was telling RPG before the show because I watched it last night with my girl, and we got to the part, and like I said, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but we got to the part with the warning. I looked at her and she looked at me, and I'm like, "We can mute it. We don't have to listen to this right now." If we kind of shy away from it.
Hey, you can't ruin it. You can't ruin it. It would actually be kind of amazing because you're so fresh. You're fresher than any of us. Explain what it was like as you entered to that moment and actually made that decision. And you can't ruin it. The film's out. So talk.
Well, you read through it and it says like, this thing, this can, conjure stuff, even from you watching it. And I'm like, and she was looking, I looked over at her, I looked over at Denise, and she was already looking at me like, what the hell? And I was like, we can mute it, and we won't have to watch it because I don't want anything. I don't want to conjure anything in her place.
Of course,
I like going there.
She's like, "Why'd you pick my place, you fool?"
Exactly. We could have done this in your living room. Damn it. Yeah. So but that was definitely we looked at each other and like, we can skip this part. When we watched through it, we were kind of going like between our eyes and watching it, but the sound was definitely off. During the chanting, and you could see like the way the camera was going that it was getting kind of intense.
Oh yeah.
Now, Josh, you were outside watching for anything to come by, I guess. Is that where you were? Yeah.
While we were out there and they were doing that, Emmett actually saw, and I don't know, because I mean, I saw it, but I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're both looking up in the sky, just goofing off, and I see a little orange light, but I don't think nothing of it. So I just let it be. I'm continuing to wander around and trying to pay attention more towards the house than towards the driveway at the end of the road. But Emmett, he's just got this keen sense. He's a great guy, just a keen sense for everything. And this dude sat there and watched this orange light run across the sky and then shoot right back and past him again. Again, I caught the very beginning and I saw it at the very end, but I didn't see all the shooting back and forth like he did. But that was literally in the middle of that him to pan. Outside in that Crowley house, it's like a farm place, right? So they've got a bunch of goats, they got a bunch of animals. These goats that they have all came out of nowhere. They should have all been in the pens. They've been locked up, 2 or 3 different times that night by the owners of the place. And these goats come and just lay up underneath the house. They come to where he is doing the him to pan and just literally go and lay up under the house. And it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. And they stayed there for probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes before almost all the filming was done at that portion of things by the time those goats got up out from under the house. And then they just wandered right on back to like it was nothing. Like they just came to take a quick nap. But what are you doing? Like the
one trying to get in the house, right, or something like that.
The one consistently was trying to just come up the stairs and get into the house, but the others, like I said, just went up underneath, and it's like that's awkward. Like first of all, they should have all been pinned up. They had been, locked up multiple times that night, and that's another thing. These animals do not get out of those pens any other time than when we are there causing a ruckus and doing things. Like other people go there all the time. They have stargazers that go and do things there. This is a pretty popular place for like the little Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts to do their camp outs and stuff. So they are busy night in, night out. And these animals, not just the goats, they've got other, horses, bulls, pigs, all kinds of things.
Don't forget about the cattle. The cattle broke through 3 gates. They came from the back fields and swarmed the house. We were like in the middle of a stampede and didn't even know it because we were busy filming.
Yeah, and we didn't get as close to the cattle as you would imagine, just because the owners were there and they were rallying them up before they got to the house. So the owners were actually the ones who told us, hey, we were chasing cattle around as you're watching the goats under the house. And it's like, but why? What is it that we possibly could be doing that conjures this up? And I mean, of course, then you think about it. Oh, we're doing the him to pan. We're calling in the paranormal. We're doing this. But these animals aren't doing that at any other junction. I mean, I'll tell you, if you guys went out there just to go camping and you hung out in the house and you were goofing off, you had 20 or 30 people out there, you're never going to see those goats come up to the house. You're never going to see those cattle bust through 3 cattle gates to swarm up to see what's going on. These animals just don't do that. But when we are there, they seem to flock to us.
We basically, once again, we need somebody there who's just waiting for that to happen, because that goat, that was the one video we got of all of that, because we were so focused on our task. And meanwhile, Mother Nature, God, the gods, Pan, whoever was like, I'm sending you all my children. Like, good enough for you?
My girl was like, aren't goats supposed to be demonic? Aren't they demonic? I'm like,
they're like they're like the skull's like a satanic symbol, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do have a lot of symbolism to them. Are goats demonic? I don't think they're bright enough to be demonic. And I mean I'm not knocking a goat. I don't know how smart a goat is, but from the actions that I've personally seen, they ain't smart enough to be a demon. And if they are, they're the dumbest demon on the planet.
That's what they want you to think, you know.
Right. Maybe that's the case.
Have you guys ever experienced any lost time or anything like that? It's a question.
Missing time, like abduction?
I guess like lost time, like
you've done that, right?
Like, there's actually a lot of times that that we are doing these things, that we experience it, but I don't think that we all commonly understand it. Again, we're filming as we're out there doing this stuff, right? But we're also doing the stuff. Like, so if I'm filming to do these paranormal things, I'm not just doing it for the film. We're actually doing it because we're paranormal researchers. Right. So first and foremost, that's what we're focused on. So we've done plenty of things, plenty of our experiments where I'll look down at my watch before we start, and let's just say it's 6 o'clock. We finish up what it feels like took us maybe, 15, 20 minutes to film and do and get through. And you look down and it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And you're like, wait a minute. We only did 2 takes of this. Even one take was only a 3-minute ordeal. 2 takes. All right, there's 10. Where'd the 2.5 hours go? But you kind of, I think a lot of us overlook that instead of spending our time on the lost time because we're so enthralled in the job at hand on what we're actually doing. I'm more looking to see, did I find or did I see a ghost? Did I see this? Did this move? Did this happen? So I think the time loss is something that we probably all just chalk up to, oh crap, we've just been out here focused on this and it is what it is. It took us longer than it should have.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And when he was doing the hymn to Pan, I was, for those who haven't seen it yet, I was upstairs and I'm mirror gazing at the same time while microdosing, or honestly, it would be between microdosing and full out tripping is something I like to call the glow. And it's just when you find the right amount, you fly, right? It's beautiful and it doesn't overwhelm you. And, we've heard some people ask, they're like, well, why? Oh, obviously, if you're going to trip balls, man, you're going to see whatever you want, man. That was not the purpose of the tool. I used it because how often do people really trip for these things? Like, how good am I actually at meditation in the scariest place possible, doing the scariest thing possible? There's no training for that. That's an accident. It's like, okay, let's train for this accident. You just can't. But by taking the right amount of psilocybin, you are able to just shed those layers of fear away and be present. And once it kicks in, once you can get there with the help of it, that's where I experience like missing time. It could be 5 minutes, it could have been 10 hours. I can't quite tell what it was. But that's the only place for me. And that's obviously being enlightened a little bit. So it's to be expected. But that's what I was doing when he was doing the hymn to Pan. And my dumb ass didn't want to know what it sounded like with him doing the hymn to Pan. I wanted it to be authentic and real. So now I'm already nervous to do it, and I'm settling in. And then he starts screaming, and
you heard him from down upstairs, right?
I'm directly above him. There's this line that goes down, and I'm just like, oh boy, okay. And thank God I had that to help me out, because I would not have been able to relax the whole time. I would have had to come out of it and go, this was truly a failed experiment. I'm so sorry. I was too scared. But the beautiful thing is once I zoned in, it's not in the first movie, so I won't really tell you what happened, but I will start the image of bone fingers around a fire, slowly pulling away, and these entities trying to look at me, but they can't get near the fire because it's just blocking them. And then that proceeded to become something else. It was incredible. And we don't know if it was just the mirror gazing itself with that. The fact that we included it with the hymn to Pan, we were also running experimental laser tech called the Beast, which is now called the atomic flashlight. So we were kind of throwing everything out, and it created some startling results, that kind of wowed all of us in our own way,
Wow.
Yeah, I think we had 4 experiments going at that one time. So I mean, there was a lot happening, in less than 30 foot radius from one another, really.
We were like, let's set a bomb off, right? Because if you do it individually, let's be honest, most of the time nothing happens, and if it does, it's very subtle. And you're like, and for the people there, awesome. But anyone else, you're like, try to explain it to them. They're like, it sounds like you barely heard anything. I'm like, yeah, but if you were there, holy crap balls. Well, we just set it off. We set it off. We said, okay, if it's about the area, then let's light this area up, and whatever is out there, whatever it is, something's gonna come check it out. And what did we see? I thought I had saw squatches in the woods. Emmett and Josh outside, they see a sphere right where I'm visualizing seeing squatches. And if you look at the things we're testing, some people believe, this guy Patrick Jackson believes, that what we're interacting mostly with is basically an advanced drone system. That we have cloaking technology today, and they just cloak, and they separate us from the other hominins that are out there. We're the dominant, but there are other clans, and they just keep it. They just keep the space, and sometimes they mess up or they're not there, and we get glimpses of each other. And that's what he believes it mostly was. So we were experimenting with that. What could Pan be? If you really look at the history of Pan, who's Pan? It goes back and then it just gets muddled. But at the end of the day, it's a giant hairy forest person. Okay, like it doesn't. I'm not. It's a small step to go. Could have been a squatch. So if this spell brings this deity, which could be a squatch, to you, how do we know that's not just mind speak, telepathy? It's really just a telepathy thing. It opens a channel. It's not like Satan and demons. Like that's what I was brought up to believe. But what if it isn't that? What if it's literally like playing the flute and they come? You know what I mean? Like we don't know. Who the hell do we go for that wisdom? What section of the library do you creep into that? Is that right near the porn section of the library where you feel ashamed to go into? I'm going into.
Why would you feel ashamed to go into any section? What is wrong with you? That is my favorite section. I'm proud to do it, and I walk in dancing.
Well, I was brought up Roman Catholic. I got issues.
You do got issues, and going into the porn section's not one of them, bud.
But yeah, so that's just. I don't know. We just experienced so much stuff really just launching at it. And if it isn't these orbs, if it isn't Pan, a Greek god come back, then it is just relic hominins living in this section of Mayaca, which, listen, I encourage everyone to go there. Go to the Tatum House. Go donate, please. It's magical. When you walk in the backwoods, there's something truly special about that place. Once again, the area. I don't know what it is, but if somebody can go and figure out what's special about that area, because I've been there multiple times. We were there with Finding Bigfoot, and we had all sorts of action when we were there, and that was what, like 8-10 years prior.
Yeah,
that place is active. It's active.
So that Mr. Rogers guy that you guys visited in the documentary, he had a really interesting story. Like I kind of like felt for the guy, but I was curious. I was just curious how you guys even found that guy in the first place. Did you approach him? He approached you?
He approached us. So when there was, if you follow Brown at all, Stacy there, Brown. If you follow him, we went down to Mayaca State Park back in, I want to say 2011 or 2012. Because there was a video that a tourist had taken of a Bigfoot, the Michael Falconer at the Mayaca State Forest video, right? So when we went down for that, we kind of, it was myself, our buddy Emmett, who's also, in all of this with us still, and Stacy Brown. And we went down there and wanted to see what all the hype was on that video. Because, I mean, it was a crappy snapshot first off, and then this and that. And so we wanted to see what it was about, and, getting out there and being able to do it was awesome. So we went down there, and while we were there, it's not a lot of stuff to do in that little town, first off. There's like 4 or 5 places to eat. One of the places to eat happened to have a bunch of people there that Michael Falconer and his friends, these Bigfoot guys are coming. I'm going to bring them to dinner here. And so a bunch of people just were there, right? So we're sitting around the table thinking we're just dealing with one person that, you know, him and his kids snapped the video. And all of a sudden it turned into kind of like a town hall meeting from Finding Bigfoot. And Roger happened to be one of those folks that was there. So we met him then. That guy has got like an amazing set of stories and instances, and just again, high strangeness. He looks so much different. He's got a lot of health issues now. He's really declined a lot, and he believes that all of this is because he's seen the Bigfoot and he's talked about the Bigfoot, and all of the things all wrap around to him and the Bigfoot. And the thing is, it's hard to discredit this. The man looked as good as you and I do. Not a scratch on this guy when I met him. This dude's got pieces missing out of his nose.
Yeah,
his ears are gone. I mean, this dude,
right?
He is eat up, and it declined. And
unkillable.
None of
he's unkillable.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
he is probably. I know a couple actual tough guys in my lifetime. This dude's probably the toughest person I've ever met in my life.
He's like the Russian from Snatched.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, you know, the thing is there. He believes that all of his misfortunes in the last pretty much since 2010, 2011, 2012 have all been because of his closeness with these creatures. And like I said, it's just hard to discredit. I know the man personally. I'm friends with the man, just like, you know, RPG and the rest of our group is. And this man, I don't know that if he's lying about any of the things that he says he's seen or whatnot, then I don't know. I'm not a good judge of character. And I'll tell you, they don't let me do what I do as a profession to not, you know, have a good judge of character. I got to hire folks, fire folks, this and that.
Yeah.
They don't allow you to do that if you're not a good judge of character.
Don't judge him by his looks.
Or maybe they do. What do you mean don't judge him? Judge me by my looks.
You're way too pretty to be doing that.
Judge me by my looks, brother. But no, you know, I do think that I'm a good judge of character, and I don't think that anybody in my lifetime has told me more truth than Roger has.
And what's really interesting, and it's another subtle thing in the film that you pick up on, but our sound guy is very in tune, right? And he's all about finding the facts and making sure it's legit. And Bill Brock, which is another great guy, you guys should have him on sometime to talk with him. Wealth of knowledge as well, well-traveled, well-versed, had his own show, Monsters Underground. Anyway, he picked up along the porch a frequency coming from the direction of the hay bale, which we show, and we kind of graphic novel it out. But
was this the EMF spikes, or is this something? I know what. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And so we just touch upon it, just like the goat. It's just these subtle things knocking on our paranormal door. But if you dive into that a little bit, and Bill explains, that can really mess you up, especially if you're bathing in it consistently. You could have hallucinations. You could hear things. It could potentially make you very sick. So we don't dive too deep into it. Obviously, we're there for the skunk apes. But once again, now take a step back and look bird's eye view down in that area. All the neighbors are having issues. All of them. You know, and what is that area? And is there a center point? Is there a focal point? Is that his porch? You know, or is it somewhere else? And we go around. We go to a place near a place that he calls the sanctuary. And he goes, that's where they stay, and don't go in there. You know, that'll get you sick. But just interesting observations. He could just be being poisoned that way. It could be skin cancer. It could be skunk apes. It could be a curse. We don't know. We're there to document it and hopefully find an answer. But you know, usually leave going, what the hell?
Right.
You know.
Well, it sounds like, well, since you guys, you know, Stacey did the pan twice, maybe he will go into the sanctuary and just be like, screw it, you know. Make sure you right.
Yeah. I mean, that could be the next step. But wait till you see what we've done, and like we did near it. You know, we hint at it in the first one. We open with this teaser of us going on a live pig hunt, which is one of the most exhilarating and crazy intense. But if you want to feel alive, you know, like go on a pig hunt. It's insane. But we actually went and collared our own pig, built our own homemade tracking collar and everything. Partnered with a company with the specialized tape that breaks down in water after a few days, and we released it near the sanctuary. Can't say what happened, but we went for it. You know, like we really went for it. You don't need to be on Nat Geo or Discovery to go for it. And we hope we encourage people, you know, try maybe just a little harder. Not too. We'll do the crazy stuff, you know, but a little harder.
Yeah, and also you guys had the that dead cow that I guess you put the cameras by. So that's coming up in the second one too, as well, or third one, I'm assuming. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. They had, and that's right down the street from Rogers. That's Mr. Rogers' paranormal neighborhood. Whatever's going on there, something is coming through. And when they come through, they feed sometimes. So yeah, we were hoping this dead mama cow, which was total natural causes. It wasn't a squatch that broke its neck or anything epic and awesome. She just died, and yeah, we slid her to the back corner of this field where they've come through, and we set the bait. We figure that's a big pregnant mama cow, milk, you know, that's just, I didn't want to think about it, you know.
Silver platter right there.
Yeah, and those dudes, because they're not afraid of anything. They live with animals, you know. Oh, I need a chicken. Let's go out, grab a chicken, cut the head off, bring it in. You know, eating chicken. And for him to be woken up from a dead sleep and be frightened and be like, I've never heard that in all my years, you know. Like those are the people we trust. Like that's the character. Like why is that guy gonna lie to us? You know what I mean? So yeah, spooky, and that's a spooky area. You can feel it, you know, when you're there. People say it feels like you're being watched, right?
And all the places that we're at in this area, they're all within a mile of each other. I mean, every one of them. So like when he calls it Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, it truly is that actual neighborhood. But I mean, the thing about it is not every one of these people are friends. Like there's a lot of these people who don't talk to the others at all. They legitly just hear that somebody's out here looking for stuff, and these guys are holding a meeting, come and talk. And then you find out, oh, well, wait, like you're 20 houses down from where Roger's at. That's weird. Do you know Roger? And they're like, no, I've never met him before, but hey, yeah, nice to meet you. Which is weird. That it's, again, just something in that area. And then a stone's throw away from there, you got the state park. A stone throw away from the state park there, you got the Crowley. I mean, everything in that area, when we go down to hunt that area, you get a feeling of just, and I don't even know how to describe the feeling. It's just a different feeling than I have anywhere else that I've gone. And again, I mean, I've been to the Conjuring House. I've been to a lot of places that are known to be haunted or Bigfoot infested. I've grown up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm from there, you know. But when I go there to that particular area, Myakka State Park, Rogers House, anywhere in that area, as soon as you get into town, you're like, oh, wow. It's just a different feel.
Wow.
So,
not to say good or bad, just different.
Right. So Aleister Crowley, he was pretty much, my one friend described him kind of as like the Marilyn Manson of the 1920s. Was he more of like just a pure
That's awesome, by the way. He nailed it. By the way.
Nailed it, by the way.
He nailed it. That's perfect.
Yeah. So like, without giving much away, like what I know, like, you know, there's the geographic factor right there. The Aleister Crowley house is right there, but like, what else factored into the decision to like try and link the whole Aleister Crowley thing with the Skunk Ape investigation?
It's work for him before to stir up activity. So you have arguably his most powerful tool, right, to open the door. And then you have this possible overlap of, well, what if Pan is Bigfoot? skunk ape, whatever, or some type of hominid. What if? So now you have this nice little link. And so it was twofold. It was, well, it's worked before. Let's hope it works this time. And then if it does, wow, we might actually have an answer for who Pam was. So that's why it works for him.
And then did Aleister Crowley, the hint of Pam, was that like his own creation? Did he come up with that? Did he come up with that poem or chant from scratch, or was it something that he was something that was already around that he kind of just like adopted as his own, or?
Oh, I do believe that that is Aleister Crowley original.
Wow.
I do believe that from the research that I've done, everything leads to it being Aleister Crowley's own. That Aleister Crowley was a special individual, man. He was a special individual from what you read and you hear about him, and not to mention just what you see when you look at him.
Well, he pushed the envelope in ways, like you were saying, he was the Marilyn Manson. He was shock factor, but he was also unafraid to explore beyond what's comfortable in any direction, and in a way, we're mimicking that. We're trying to do the things that just the normal Joes that are out there not being paid to do it all the time wouldn't do. We're going to attempt that. So in that way, we're like that. But I always tell people, don't do if you really want to know about something, you can't shallow dive on anyone, because if you do with Aleister, you're just going to get this picture of the most evil man in the world has ever known. Or is he just the one man that literally said F you to every possible system and said, I'm just going to try everything that I kind of like, and that you say I shouldn't is scary. He was the ultimate rebellious paranormal explorer, but I can see how people don't like him. And I can see how people respect him, because at the end of the day, he was and maybe still is the bravest dude in the room.
Wow. So, and like the whole thing with the hint of Pam, when you guys throw the warning up before it started saying how the whole thing, the trigger paranormal activity. What were, if any, like documented instances of Aleister Crowley or some of his cronies using that hymn and then afterwards it resulted in paranormal activity? Like, how did it get that reputation? If you could shed some light on that.
Well, we take that from direct. That's from Stacy and these fools messing around with it. And then as he talks about having just hearing voices and the activity starts around him and seeing that it actually works, and that whether he's calling in Pan or calling in something, Crowley, who knows, he's calling in something. So where Stacy got his original data, I don't know. Maybe Josh, you know more about Aleister's spellcasting than I do. I really do not. I'd love to tell you that I do. I do not. From what I understand, the hymn to Pan, if I'm not mistaken, was actually supposed to be meant to open up some sort of a portal, and in the end, paranormal can come through a portal, right? So why would we not try adding that to what we're already doing? So while we're out there, we're trying to open up a portal. All of a sudden, these goats go up underneath the house. Did we open up something doing that? Are we just not sorcerers of our own, where maybe we don't have the exact same dedication to the hymn to Pan as Aleister did, and so we're not opening up everything fully like he may have, or what? But the animals coming in, the things that have happened when we're doing this hymn to Pan, it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable. And are we opening something up, or are we portion of the way opening something? Who knows? Because we're not actually, we're not finishing. We're finishing, but we're not seeing the end result that maybe Aleister did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was curious too. This location you guys were at, I know, Mayak is like a pretty swampy area, but what's the closest major solid body of water to the area? Whether it's like a big lake, a big ass river, or something like that.
There's a lake. There's one in the park. which is huge. They got an awesome restaurant, gators, sunbathing right there. So that's actually the one that we were across it on one of this little isthmus at the end. It was like, this beautiful point of land, good choke point for hunting. So yeah, they have that lake, but in terms of another one, I don't know, the ocean. The ocean's so many miles.
Yeah, I would say maybe for the next big body of water, probably 30, 50 miles.
Okay. Because when me and Charlie we're talking RPG on Monday night about this stuff. We brought up the topic of water. We're telling you about the that famous missing person case that we're investigating. How a lot of those cases happen near bodies of water, and I think one of the things we were talking about was just think of just like the pressure alone, like how like at like the bottom of these lakes or oceans or whatever that we really don't have much access to, just how much energy that's exerting, and like what, if you believe in that stuff, what that type of energy in theory could be like doing or conjuring.
Yeah.
Or just what's living there. I know I told you guys that story out of Washington State where buddy was hand gliding. And as he's hand gliding and he's coming down through the mountains, and there are a series of lakes, ponds, whatever they call them there, all connected by this river, he's coming down, and in this really clear mountain lake, he's like, what the hell is that? And he sees a family of squatch walking out of the lake, all holding big rocks, and then dropping them on the shoreline and walking off into the woods. And he's just like, wait, they're real? Wait, what? Wow, and now, if you take that story and you say, okay, let's say this one's real, right? This guy, he's not a squatcher. He's a hand glider. He doesn't care about any of that, but he happened to know someone who was a squatcher. So he was like, hey, I think I saw him. Now, if that's real, then okay, great. There's your sign. They can build homes, or they know where there's caves at the bottom. Because if you think about it, right, if we're the nastiest apex predator on this planet, just because we can basically probably outbreed them, we just breed and we're poisonous and we shoot and kill. We're nasty. What would you do if you could go anywhere on this earth? Your body was just superior. You go to the bottom of the biggest bogs and lakes or the top of mountains. And that's the two kind of spots that are hot spots. So I would say, yeah, they're under there somewhere. They're like beaver houses underneath and stuff, for sure, if they're going to be around us. If not, I don't think it matters. They can, sleep out anywhere they want. But I think they're in the water. And that's spooky to think about, because I've swum in some dark ponds, not knowing that right there it could just be standing there holding the rock, one hand, waiting to grab me.
Just looking up at you.
God.
I'm pretty sure if that was the case, though, they'd have hit you. One of them would have hit you, RPG.
Yeah, they would have said, I like this one. He's a nice
Listen
one.
They'd have been like, listen to this dude's voice. Pound, pound, pound.
I swim fast.
We play too much. Something would have definitely hit you, because you and I would have been goofing off, and next thing you know, we both would have got hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the water, just like I can't do deep water anymore. I don't, I really swim in like deepest water in the ocean or lake or anything like that, because I've seen too many movies, read too much stuff about just like what could be under you, and I can't do that. I can't do that shit no more. I'll go like
in scary woods and houses though.
Yeah, but that's different though.
People won't do that.
Yeah. Just, if there's one like in the water, I'm probably gonna, I'll do background stuff for that episode or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just going to get my kids, and at the wrong age, I'm going to show them Jaws. And then I know they'll never go in the ocean again. That's it. Winning.
Winning parenthood.
Winning. And then you just save for the therapy, And then when they go, how much therapy I need? I go, $1,200 worth, and here you go. You really plan.
I didn't even tell them that Jaws is based on a true story.
Yeah.
I have Jersey, right?
Yeah, Matawan Creek. It's actually if you drive down the Garden State Parkway around like the low 100 exits, you actually cross Matawan Creek, and that's where those two bull shark attacks happen.
Ooh, yeah, that's freaky. That's why I like any water where that can happen, because we were in Pennsylvania. I was living in New York at the time, and it was Pennsylvania, and I can't remember the park, but they found these big gators, like big gators in it that someone had obviously
Really?
released. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I always think of Jurassic Park, where they go, nature finds a way.
Yeah,
And it's true.
yeah.
And maybe not most of the time they don't, but it finds a way. Like you're telling me these crazy big cats they see in Europe or these creatures, they're not just millionaires, like accidentally something they bought somewhere got out, like a giant, like what's that fox, the Maine fox? You ever see that thing? That looks like a werewolf. They actually even rear up on their hind legs with their long ass legs. If you saw that in the night and like just perfect, you'd be like, I mean, it's a werewolf. Like, and I just think a lot more things like that happen too. Someone, Black Panther, got out. I don't know where it went. Don't say anything. What if it hurts somebody? And then
I've said this a couple of times too. I think I've had a couple of people ask me like what's one cryptid you think that gets reported the most? It's not Bigfoot, it's not Dogman, it's not Thunderbirds, it's not Loch Ness Monster. A lot and just a firsthand experience too. I think I've heard more accounts about big cats, specifically like Black Panthers, than I have like actual like Squatches. And that's kind of like my primary focus, and I've heard more stuff about that, and not just from like one area, from like all over the country.
Yeah, yep, and see, Africa gets all the credit with the lion, right? Because it's just lion. They call mountain lion for a reason. If anyone actually ever saw a full-grown male one of those, you just die. You just you wouldn't even think you got a chance with a gun. And they range and they're silent. Like our best people couldn't track one, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, I almost hit one in. I was driving across country. I almost hit one in Idaho. When you drive in Idaho, you go up a hill and then you go downhill. I was going down on Route 90, and I was like, I see this thing running across the road, and the thing was like probably like 15 feet long. I'm like, Jesus Christ, when is this thing gonna end? I was trying to swerve out of the way. I was like, holy shit. But
with that tail too, it's humongous.
Yeah.
But then you went out there, they've got those elk though. They've got like herds of animals that are big enough to sustain this gigantic cat.
Well, in the East, I think the states have been releasing them to control the deer population. I'm not gonna mention any state names because I don't want to get the big brother looking at me, but there's a few of them on the East Coast that are that was the option, and now they're kind of out of control,
And it's funny too, like whenever I one of the things we do for field work is we put out trail cameras. I obviously don't expect to catch like a squatch or anything weird like that on them. I personally think they could for whatever reason, there's a number of different theories out there as to why, but I personally think that they could sense them. They know they're there for whatever reason. So whether or not that's a factor, I don't expect to catch like a squatch or anything like that. I just kind of do it just to gauge what like the wildlife is like around there, what kind of predators, food sources, and stuff like that. But one thing I'm always holding out for whenever I pick up my trail cameras and review them, I'm like, yo, if I could get something badass like a mountain lion on here, like that's the goal,
That's an award-winning photo because honestly, you caught a ghost. That's a ghost. You shouldn't have got that. So congratulations. Right. I would like an autographed print, and I will actually frame it and put it up on the wall if you get that.
Oh, you'll be the first one I'll send it to.
Yeah, because they actually have all of them. They're the only one that scares me because that's a death you won't see coming. Everything else
have a phone app?
Yeah.
Oh,
what happened?
Joe
John's
in
New York is close to 60 Enzovino.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in New York is close to 6 miles. Yeah, I think 6 miles north of New York City. That's kind of like Orange County area.
They're in my county too. It's Sussex County. I'm 45 minutes away from. Yeah. And the thing is, you gotta look. You when you're hiking, you gotta make sure you always look up in the trees. Don't just keep on looking. Well, I have to because I'm always falling over rocks and shit. But you gotta make sure you like look up in the trees and stuff too, because they like to hang out up there.
And not only that, for people that don't know, and you got an educated audience here, but put googly eyes like on the back of your hat or some kind of eyes to let them see, because if they're going to hit you, you're going to get hit from behind, and they're going to snap your neck so quick that you won't even believe that it's possible. So, and that's very rare. It's not to scare anyone, but extra safe, eyes on the back of your head for sure.
Yeah, like, you know, we set up trail like the spot that we were at visited this past weekend. We set trail cameras up there. Super remote spot. It's pretty much in Adirondack Park. So if there's anywhere where, you know, I probably have greater odds of getting stuff like that on camera, it's probably going to be up there. Like,
awesome.
I have this one spot. Right?
I have this one spot in the Catskills that I go to. I have this one spot in the Catskills that I go to that I, you know, set up trail cameras and everything like that. And I got some amazing, I think you saw before, Charlie, some amazing bear footage, like, you know, bear fucking with the trail camera, coyote. You know, it's just like these remote, like, these remote-ass places are the places that you're going to get stuff like that. But going back to what we were talking just about how like the land has like the energy and stuff like that. I remember on Monday night we were talking about a lot of these places, even if they're known for one specific thing, like if they're specifically known for Bigfoot or haunting or UFO or something like that, you see a lot of overlap with these phenomena in a lot of these areas. Like, you know, Charlie, like you could attest, you know, like our, you know, our team member Gwen, for example, her place in Central PA. I think you met her at the Tennessee conference. You know, her house is allegedly haunted. There's multiple other haunted you know, like haunted houses and places like that in her area. The place has a piss load of you know, Bigfoot reports and things like that. UFO sightings. I think there have been a couple like even, you know, other cryptids like Dogman and white crawlers and stuff like that have been spotted there. And yeah, just like stuff like that kind of turns me on just to realize, there's like these little concentrated areas or regions where you just see like all the, you know, like just like overlap like that. So, you know, is it a coincidence or like what are just some like, you know, like the common denominators all these places have that we should like look into a little more?
Water underground.
Water around.
You know,
I can see that.
water underground. Some people believe that a lot of the foundations of these mountains and things that we're seeing, they're either melted old cities, or some of them are ancient trees and different things that still resonate, you know, with certain frequencies that create special areas that the Native Americans and older peoples knew about. So they would make them special areas because when you're in there, certain people would have psychic abilities activated. Certain people would see things, feel things. Maybe it's like the version of going to where the oracle was back in the day, where you sought wisdom and you found it. We don't know that. That's why we do what we do, you know, like hopefully we would love to find just an answer as to why these certain areas are exploding with high strangeness. Yeah, that's the big question. And it depends on who you ask, because certain people will say, give you different answers. But I mean, I couldn't tell you what it is now. I just think there's something magical, and we just need to focus more on the land and less on the objects on the land. They're kind of like tuning forks or lighthouses, you know. But once you get there, once they get you there, now what's in the ground? And I would go down first. I would go down if I could. If I had all the money in the world, I would dig down, and I would have every kind of LiDAR and whatever you could, and I would just go, what are we on? Like, what is it about this place? Is it as simple as just like during a storm, because of the rocks and what's made up in the strata, it affects human beings differently because it creates low frequency sound. It puts off some kind of radiation we're not even quite aware of yet that affects only certain people. Who knows, man? This, like, imagine if they had this in college and high school and they prepped you for it, and you're like, dude, you're gonna solve high strangeness. You know what I mean? I would have been stoked. Like, yeah, but you need a budget and you need a team like this, But okay, guys, how far did we get on high strangeness at Site 7? You know what I mean? I don't know. Hopefully people like us gets more interest.
And that's the thing too, like, you know, like you look at all those like these major scientific breakthroughs and things like that, especially, you know, with like biological studies, zoological studies, that people point out that you know, that they point out that they say the Bigfoot and, you know, cryptid, paranormal, high strangeness fields are lacking. people who do like these actual studies, that they tout and hang over our heads. Yeah, number one, they have funding, and number two, they have people who do this. Number two, they have people who like actually dedicate their full time jobs to this, who are focusing on these projects. Weeks, months, years. Like in most cases, anything paranormal or cryptid expos or things like that, where usually most of the time we're just out in like area XYZ for a weekend.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's not even like consecutive. It's just a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. Like most of the time when you do stuff like that, if you want to document anything, you're really more so banking on just getting lucky, I guess.
Sure. Well, or you guys have outreach, right? So especially within your area, you're going to meet cohabitators like you've introduced me to.
Mm-hmm.
Once you find them, my advice, and Josh can back me up or not on it, is something that they did with Roger in his neighborhood. Start writing it down. Start journaling every time even the simplest little high strangeness, because if you were to do that, and that means you don't have to be there, they just do it. You just call them and go, hey, how's the journaling going? Anything come up? Just get them going. And then it will be exciting, because then just say they do it for 1 year. What you're going to see is, wow, in the fall, it kind of tapers off, but in the spring, it seems to be really active. And then we kind of have a starting point of, okay, how are we going to spend our time and money? We have learned that our best chances are in this kind of time period for some reason. So let's go find out why. And that would be a starting point for me to anyone, like find cohabitators or people that live in these intense areas and begin journaling and encourage them, help them do it. And then boom, yeah, that's it. It's your starting point.
Yeah, because I guess you do that. There's like certain patterns that emerge on it. Yeah. And that's
the only way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that you like. It makes me think about why I think in large numbers, eyewitness reports are there could be something to them, because like the more you have, the more of these patterns that emerge, and certain correlations, especially when it comes from details that like someone who's trying to BS you or something like that, or has got Bigfoot on the brain, they probably won't be mindful enough to volunteer. So that's great.
And you can explain it to them too as, do you want to understand this phenomenon? Because we just have to start somewhere. And the best way to do it is observe, which you're already doing. Now, all I'm asking you to do is just write it down now. Just take that time, or text me and we'll get on the phone and I'll write it down for you. No problem. And that's you being the investigator and helping people get the information you're looking for.
I think the journaling is important too, because you can see something and forget about it quick as you saw it. So the more you're journaling, the more you're actually documenting versus it being hearsay from your own self, from your own mind. Everything is energy. If you're not putting the energy into it and focused on it, you can miss something that you've seen yourself. So writing it down, journaling it is definitely one of the biggest things I would recommend for folks to do.
No, I think that's, and maybe even just conscious. I know, because we're kind of all over. We have Pennsylvania, we do New York, New Jersey, as you guys, but maybe we have to hone in more and just maybe do like just Pennsylvania and concentrate on that. Maybe go to Gwen's house and just concentrate on that, since she lives there, and have her document and journal and everything like that. But going back to the paranormal real quick, I'm kind of shift gears. Did you guys, like when you guys did that painting, I want to go back to that. Did you guys get anything attached to you or anything like that? Or is that going to be in the second show? I don't want to spoil anything, but, I just want to, did you guys have any like,
did I have a Dan Aykroyd and Ghostbusters experience in my bed later that evening?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
unfortunately.
So after the hymn to Pan, one of the gentlemen that was filming with us, that was one of the cameramen, Ed, him, his wife, and Bill Brock were all sleeping at that Crowley house where they did the chant that night. We all decided that that's where we were going to bunk down. Why I decided that when I had a tent and everything hooked up like way across the town where I should have been, is beyond me. But we stayed and whatnot. But we had all fallen asleep, and this is extremely crazy. We're sleeping, and we hear this bell on the porch go off, just start ringing. And the problem is that Ed and his wife were on that porch on these benches sleeping. I was in the room on a bed. Bill happened to also be in a room on the bed. Either way, you hear this bell and it wakes us all up. These two, Ed and his wife, are legitly less than a foot away from the bell. Ed opens his eyes and can see the bell. The bell wasn't moving at all, but it was still ringing. And the only way you ring this bell is to, just like any other bell, you have to shake it. I come running out thinking that he's just goofing off. Well, it turns out that he's scared as shit. Old boy did not sleep the rest of the night. I wouldn't say that something attached to us, but something after the whole thing was said and done, more like an hour and a half, 2 hours after everything, that bell started going off. And that was enough to keep old boy from sleeping anymore. His wife didn't seem to mind it because she went right back to sleep and was snoring as big as she could.
That's Ed Monge, right?
Ed Monge.
He's talented, man. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's great, and he's like airborne or something like that, right? Isn't he like he's former military, right?
Yeah, he's ex-military. He used to be a minister even.
Right. So
he's not. He's good at what he does, without a doubt, and he's a great person. And you know, if it wouldn't have been for the fact that he was scared as he was that night, I would have said he rang that bell. Right. But like, and I even hit up his wife. I'm like, hey, y'all are sleeping out here. Did he get up and do this? And she's like, no, he was behind me and he jumped. So they're on this bench, this wood bench laying together. He pushed her off the bench because he was so scared when that bell rang. He jumped up, and as he jumped up, he literally shoved her off the bench. Like, either you want a divorce, or you didn't ring that bell. And I'm down to say he didn't ring that bell.
It kind of reminds me of have you guys ever like read or seen like any like the versions of that Charles Dickens novel A Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge, the Three Spirits. When he's at his house, the bell rings and the Ghost in the Chains comes. Yep, Jacob Marley. Yeah.
Except for this time the bell rang and Edward pushed his wife off the bench. That's the only difference between that and the Ebenezer Scrooge's Christmas Carol.
Wow.
They pushed her off the bench.
So the chains here were after that were more figurative.
Right. But from once that happened, the rest of the night was silent. There was absolutely nothing more after that. There was no follow-up of something taking place. Like you would think the bell would ring again, but no. Maybe it was windy out that night. It was hot. I'd like to tell you it was windy that night, but it was hot. It wasn't windy. It was hot. The air was still. There's no explanation for it. Other than, again, more high strangeness, things just continuing on. Once we do our thing, it just seems to continue on for a while afterwards.
Wow. Which was the bell just like on like a solid surface, or was it hanging off something? If you mentioned that detail, I didn't catch it.
Oh no! So this bell is literally sitting on the railing. You have to pick the bell up to ring it.
Oh boy. Yeah.
See, we had
you have to pick it up, and from where I was, for me to hop out the bed as quick as I did, Ed didn't have enough time to do anything other than help his girl get picked up off the floor after he pushed her down.
You probably would have heard it. Yeah, you probably would have heard it get put back down too, because it probably makes a good noise.
Right.
Put it back
Yeah. This isn't something that would have just gone off and you can stop it quickly. It would have been it would have been a first noise of hearing it being picked up, which they would have definitely heard on the porch. I may not have heard it get picked up, but I would have been able to hear it get put back down, because it was a quick 2 seconds for me to jump out that bed and be where they were on that porch.
Wow.
Yeah. So what are you dealing with there, right? Like there are all sorts of different type of animals that can mimic noises. So let's just say the squatches are smart enough to where they could mimic the bell noise. They've obviously heard it. There's a bell there. Could it have been a bird? Is it some kind of advanced tech? Because if it's advanced tech that can do stealth, and move around, then why couldn't that create sound and shock and wake everyone? But then the question becomes like, why? Like why, when everyone's kind of drifting on, why in that moment they decide to go, hey, and then that's it. So once again, I would say, okay, let's analyze that. How many times did the bell go off? What was the pattern? Was it Morse code? Was it this? Was it that? But once again, those things happen. It's like an accident. It just happens. And then, you survive it. I feel like more than you experience it. But yeah, that's really interesting. And they got them all and got them. And yeah, poor dude, Ed, that guy is literally from the jungle, like a hut and, machete, go get dinner, to NYC film school. Like his graduate,
is amazing.
His journey.
Yep.
Let's make a movie. Let's make a movie about his journey, because that's his quest for knowledge and to find his place in the world is amazing.
No, absolutely. No, he just came out with a movie too. I think it was called Believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about to come out. Yeah, it's his first film. I don't know if he shot it while there or just after.
I think just after.
Yeah,
I think it's out now, as a matter of fact. I think it just came out.
Yeah, I think it's in it's in a film festival. I think it's in a New York Film Festival, actually, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad you got to work with him. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like I meant to ask too. That guy, Mr. Rogers' house. There was that second guy that I think you guys and James Bros interviewed. He was kind of like the younger, bigger guy. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, was neighbor. He said that he had like two great experiences. One he saw on one when he was walking his property. The other one, I think he was taking his dog out in the backyard or something like that. He was a neighbor, you said?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's one of those guys that, when you stand next to like a giant dude and the giant dude is telling you he's scared, it's like, how do you not believe him, right? Because giant dudes don't tell people, hey, I'm scared shitless right now. Like they don't do that, right?
Mm-hmm. But the funniest part about that is I've seen more than one giant dude scared as shit in my lifetime now.
Yeah.
But and just to have this big guy with his little dog, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, it's so funny. But once again, sweethearts, they don't want anything to do with this. They would never bother anyone. They weren't even aware that Roger was having these experiences. They just had it happen. And like Josh said, the word gets out that Bigfooters are around, and then they want to share their tale. They want to be like, can you shed any additional light on this? Because is it going to eat my dog? I mean, that's really what he was really after. It's going to eat my dog. It's going to hurt my family. And we're like, no, because if they would have, it would have been done already. And he's like, yeah, we figured that, but how do you stop it?
Hey, buddy.
And he was a skeptic too, that guy originally, right?
Yep. And that's the thing. That's what you say. Why would you want to? You're literally experiencing something that is so rare that like it's like seeing a unicorn, God, an angel, whatever is just dinosaur, whatever. It shouldn't be. And they're peaceful, obviously, or at least the ones there. Because if they were anything else, they're gonna let you know. You know, you hear the stories. It's either like they were super aggressive and I just knew to leave, or they have this thing that all animals have, is they have a curiosity, and that curiosity gets more intense the higher level of intelligence. You know, that's curiosity and play, curiosity and play. So really, we got to figure out how to play with these things when they finally approach us, and not just crap our pants, you know, or try to film it, you know, like something. There's there's a language there.
He said that the second time was just kind of aggressive though. Like the first time it was fine, but then the second time he had the experience, it was more aggressive, either to him or the dog, right?
Yeah, I think the first time he said, well, you know, the figure he saw didn't even pay any mind to him. He was just going about his business, and he reacted a lot more strongly than it did.
Yeah, but I also like. I don't know, right? We don't know, because to him, what was the growl? Was it like the full step back, or was it more of a that's far enough? You know?
Okay.
And I don't know. I just know that if I was this giant dude, oh, where's my dog? And then you look up and you're like, that's an even bigger dude. And it goes, and you just know instinctively, wait, what is this? This is crazy. I don't know, man. I've been there, and it scares everything's louder, bigger, crazy. You know what I mean? Right. You're adrenalized. So who knows? And it very well could have been. But once again, was that a warning to stop cutting the wood on the land? Was that a warning of just like, I don't like little dogs, get a big dog? You know, like what was it? Who knows? They think it had to do with the land. So there's your next clue, right? So find one of these spots, go in there, cut a tree down, and sit there and see what happens.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned that, because Gwen just had some stuff done to her house, and the area of the woods that she didn't want touched, they actually cut down some trees in that area. And I said, start documenting. I also suggested, I'm like, maybe plant like an apple or a pear tree or something, just to say, hey, listen, sorry, you know. Here's a fruit-bearing tree for me, you know, fucking up, you know.
And I think that's an awesome idea, right? Like, I always wanted to do this documentary, and maybe I will someday, but someone could beat me to it. I wanted to go deep, like 10, 20 miles into their territory. I won't geek out totally on whose footsteps I would follow, but basically there's a place where I've been told where to enter, and you got to walk in. It takes a few days to walk in, and you're going to know, and they're going to let you know, and they're going to push you out. And this is, people have gone in that don't believe at all. This is bullshit, but fine, I'll go take a hike and have some fun in the woods. And then they come out and they're like, why would you do that to me? I want to go there, but the entire journey in, I want to be physically carrying a potted apple tree, let's just say. Yeah. And I want them to see me struggle horribly for 2 days to get all the way into where there's a perfect place to plant it. And I want them to know that I'm just doing that for them and their children. And that's it. But maybe by showing that feat of strength, because I think they're physical beings, I think they put more emphasis on that than we do on our technology. And I think it might impress them. And then you build this. Native Americans, they all say, leave an offering, show respect, let them know you're there. And who knows, maybe it's a silly, stupid thing, and I'll just feel like really accomplished afterwards, because I basically did a marathon carrying an apple tree. Yeah. But who knows?
You burn a couple of calories.
Dude, I'll be fit as beep, you know. But those are, I think, the ideas that play, that respect, and going obviously deeper, that are finally, that you'll get more answers. And I think if you sent 100 people to do that, I think most of them would get answers, and I think most of them would come back and say, I don't need to talk about it anymore. I think it's that special, you know. I think there's a lot of people that know, and they're just like, yeah, and the people that are talking about really don't know. That's why. That's why they're so excited.
Real quick, RPG. Now, in the movie or the show, you did a little mixture of tobacco, sage, and what was the third thing?
Crack.
Crack. Remember you sprinkled that stuff? It was tobacco.
It's tobacco, sage, and I actually have some sacred special water from Crater Lake from the Klamath Indian tribe as well. I don't think that made the cut. That wasn't there.
Do you bring that with you always? Do you bring that always, or is that just we do? Okay.
Always. Listen, at some point in your life, you go, I'm open to mentorship. And for most of us, we're Americans, so we're assholes, and we want to learn it all on our own, figure it all on our own. But when you start letting in that wisdom, they give you things. And I just, dude, the second I started manifesting it, basically, like putting it out that I'm coming. When I get there, I leave because it's important to me. This was given to me by a friend, and the amount that's in this is gonna run out. And the only way I can fill it is to go back there and make another friend that gifts me something like this. So it's important. And I think that's part of it. Once again, carrying the it's important. And they can, how they read that, I don't know. And by giving that to them and kind of saying I'm here, I think it just sets the stage to show this is a very open-minded, gentle person that is not here for any trouble. It is literally trying to tiptoe in my house.
Right, right.
And whether that gives you the nod or some attention or just doesn't get you killed, I don't know. But so far it's worked, and it works. It works, man. Be respectful. Don't think you're the smartest person there. Intelligence is a spectrum, you know? So.
Makes sense.
No, yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah. So it does look like we are we're just about running out of time. Before I let you guys go, what can you tell us about parts 2 and 3? When should we expect them to come out? What other what loose ends are you guys going to tie? What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, we're super psyched. So we learned a few things along this adventure, you know, like how to title your film, how to basically make it pop, because we're nobodies, right? And so we're trying to enter into this big pool with these big, beautiful fish. And one of them is people binge watch these days. So one of the complaints we'd had is, well, it just ends. You just leave me in this cliffhanger, and I want more information. And it's like, So what we're doing with 2 and 3 is we're going to release them simultaneously in October. So then people will have all 3. They can binge watch it back. They can get all their answers, or at least all the answers we're going to give you. And then they'll see the full scope of what we really tried to do and how we tried to take honestly, they're like 3 paranormal adventures that we all take, but put them together in a package that really is fun to digest. Just fun. It's just fun, you know, like what a thrill ride. And I think we've done that really well, you know, and it's tough being the new kid on the block, but come on, man, like who doesn't want a live action graphic novel that's like being on a roller coaster and actually makes you question if you should be watching it, because these dudes are doing some crazy shit. Like I don't know. I watch everything. I check everything out. So that's exciting to me. That's like, what are these crazy guys doing? You know, and you got sexy Josh in there. So why wouldn't you want to check it out?
Petrified deer dick, alligator orgies.
No, all sorts of stuff. And right now in this country, you know, like Florida men, we get this bad rep. So in my personal opinion, there's never been a better time to see Florida men not doing crazy drugs in Walmart parking lots, but doing them out in the swamps trying to get good information. Okay.
There you go.
And that's it, man. Yeah. We'll be the bravest for everyone until somebody else joins the team. It's like, hey, try this. And it just works, you know.
There you go. Have some tryouts. Michael fly down for tryouts. Right,
there we go.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, I got this one I want to do. I want to call it, like, basically what I want to do is just put a boat and have a boat like kind of come up on the shore where it's supposedly very active. But within the boat is a sealed chamber big enough to kind of roll and lay in. So basically you can live in this chamber, kind of like a coffin almost, in the boat for like 2 or 3 days. And you just wait, and when they come over the top, it's like you can see out, they can't see in, and you're just laying there waiting for whatever comes up to look in. You know, it kind of is, you know, you're stuck there for a little bit, but it's things like that, and we're gonna need people to do things like that, because I don't know if I could do it. I don't like that. I can be claustrophobic, but I can't do it for long. We'd have to find someone that could literally basically play dead for a day or 2.
My biggest question is, how do you handle the bathroom situation in there?
In the thing?
Yeah.
Well, if you're in the water, right, and you're able to pull in the water, you have to have it set up so that you can release into the water, as opposed to get it's to make it look like it's just abandoned. So you get
okay.
It's supposed to be like it's abandoned, like it just washed up. So if you're this curious creature that comes along, like, oh, well, I haven't seen anyone there for 24 hours. I'll go check it out. You know, it's a boat. What is this?
Yeah.
Maybe even put food in it. I don't know. I don't know how you bait it. I don't know what you do. It's just an idea of being able to be in the environment without interacting in the environment as little as possible, you know?
The thing picks it up and starts slamming against rocks and shit on the shore, right?
That's
Whoops. Back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, they're like, this thing's like an eclair. Look at all the
exactly. That's great, though. That's awesome, man. I really do appreciate both you guys being on again. It was it's always I always learn so much RPG when you're on, and then having Josh add has his knowledge also. It's I always get stuck just listening. You know what I mean? Mike's always like, say something. I'm like, I can't. I'm listening. I'm learning.
Yeah.
That's okay. I embarrass everybody when I talk to him, so it's okay. I don't get to open my mouth much, mostly because of that.
Josh, were you in Tennessee? Were you in Tennessee?
What?
Were you in
Yes.
Tennessee? You were.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I remember because I went up and I saw you. Oh, you know what? I think you were by Stacy when I was trying to get up to you.
Most places I go, it's hard to recognize me, mostly because I was in the suit in Tennessee. So the skunk ape, you saw me, but you didn't realize it was me right off the bat because I was in suit. Most places I go, I try to wear the suit. I've been to the Walmart in the suit. It's kind of a fun thing. But yeah, so I usually most places that I go, I'm in that suit. So it's hard to just know that it's me without taking the mask off, and I try not to do that once I'm in that suit.
Well, now I know. Okay, cool. Very cool.
All right, guys. Well, before we wrap up, you guys will hang out in the studio for a few minutes after we end things.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got like 5 minutes, and then
for sure.
Deal with kids.
Yep. All right, cool. All
I've got a bedtime.
All right, well, RPG, Josh, really appreciate you guys coming. Appreciate you, RPG, coming on again. Josh, thanks for coming on again. Appreciate you guys talking about the documentary. Giving us some great insight. Talked about that high-strangeness, petrified dicks. It was great.
That's conversations RPG loves to have, is petrified dick conversations. The deer dick is not the only petrified dick that dude's got.
Listen, I'm a sophisticated sniffer.
I just want to say, I don't know if it was good editing or anything like that, but when he first brings it on screen, his eyes light up. I'm gonna attribute it to just like impeccable editing, but
he was still tripping. He was tripping.
Got a flashback.
Yeah.
Is this a ghost penis? That's what I was like.
Yeah, right.
What is this? Let me get it.
I love that people are going to watch the film now just to go, where is this part with this?
Where's the petrified deer dick part?
And that's what's going to blow it up. It's going to blow it up, and people are going to be like,
It's a magic 8-ball?
Magic deer dick, get me magic deer dick. You want to pop?
On that note,
you want to send us out, Mike. Let's continue the conversation.
Hey, I thank y'all for having me on. That was mighty kind of y'all to let me join RPG.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Anyone from OutKast Paranormal. Anyone from OutKast Paranormal is a friend of the CARC in the podcast. So, you guys are welcome anytime. But all right, for myself, Chuck, RPG, Josh, we're going to sign off. Everyone who tuned in, thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a good time, and we will see you on the next episode.
Hey, this is Chuck Larson. You're watching the CARC channel on YouTube.
And here comes the outro.
Rocking it.
Oh, rocking it.
Oh,
wait.
You've been watching From Behind Tall Trees, a Catskill Appalachian Research Collective production. For more information on this program and others like it, remember to like, share, and subscribe to CARC Universal today. To join the conversation on our Facebook group, become a member of the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective Facebook group. CARC. Relentless.